I remember so many interesting anecdotes. It was a rare privilege of having been so deeply loved by Avatar Meher Baba. I personally sometimes try to understand the depth of his love. I try to analyze why I felt such an attraction for him. Well, we all love. Being human beings, we love other human beings, our relatives, our children, our mother, wife, brothers, friends. Is there no difference between our love for these persons and our love for Baba? I personally feel there is a difference. When I love Baba, I get some sort of feeling that it is the most original sort of attraction that I feel for him. Let me put it like this, it is the fundamental attraction for Baba. It's something like this, perhaps. As the particles of an atom are attracted towards one another, is the first love and the final love too. I feel now this love of Baba for me was expressed in many incidents of my life. Once, I'm not ashamed to tell you that I was as much mentally in love with him or spiritually in love with him as I was physically in love with him. I loved Baba and Baba's body. I loved to look at him for hours without being tired. I wanted to touch his body, touch his feet, touch his hands. And when I couldn't get this in any of the darshan programs, when there was a large crowd, I felt unhappy. Now Baba knew this urge, and I remember two incidents when he beautifully arranged an opportunity for me to be very close to him physically. On one occasion, Baba was sitting before a very large throng of lovers. Suddenly, Eraj wanted some persons to come and sit near Baba's feet and remove the flowers that devotees were placing upon Baba's feet. Now Baba looked at me and smiled, and Eraj looked at me, following Baba's look at me, and called me to sit by Baba's side. And for about an hour, I was removing all the flowers that were decking Baba's feet. And every time I removed the flower, I was able to touch his feet. I even clashed his feet, and he looked at me condescendingly, and he wasn't annoyed or irritated that I was touching his feet or even gritting at them so often. And for 1 hour, I had almost sort of filled my heart with Baba's love, and that desire to be in Baba's physical proximity to touch his body was amply fulfilled. There was another occasion when I wanted to touch his fingers, almost to take his hand in mine. And I still remember that was perhaps in 1965. Baba wanted to distribute some trophies, some lozenges to Baba lovers, and Eras told me, sit near Baba and start removing the trophies towards Baba's hand so that he need not look at the trophies in order to distribute them to the lovers. And so once again, for about half an hour, I was simply shifting the trophies towards Baba's hand, and in that process, I was touching his hands too. And there was a time when Baba stopped distributing prasad and looked at the lovers and started saying something, and I caught hold of his hand. And Baba did not remove his hand from mine and allowed it to remain in my hand. I even looked into his fingers and the nails, and I kissed it. And when I was parting from Baba, Baba hugged me, close into his heart, and gave me 3 kisses. And I felt unhappy because the 4th didn't come. I thought he will square it up. And the next meeting when I went to Baba, he again hugged me and gave me 4 kisses. And thus made it up to 7 perhaps. I don't know. Now, how much careful and considerate he was about us, our daily needs even. I remember I had been to Ahmednagar with my mother, and we were to go to Meher to meet Baba. Baba condescended to send a message to Adi that Amiya and his mother can meet me. Well, the time was perhaps 11, And I went to the railway station catering and I requested them to get us some meals because we thought it would be late returning from Merazad. We must have our meals. But the catering refused, saying that this is no train time and we are not able to provide with any meals at this moment. After half an hour again I went, again the same reply. I could not get meals. And the third time also I went and the catering refused. I was rather upset and I was feeling very hungry too. And then the jeep came and we went to Merazad. We sat near Baba. Baba looked at us, and of course we had some worries and problems to unfold before him, and he heard us patiently, gave us certain instructions, and suddenly he looked at myself and said, "Have you eaten anything?" I said, "No, Baba, I couldn't." He looked at me again and said, "Well." Then he turned towards Araj and said, "Have you anything in the ashram?" And I said, "Well, I'll find out, Baba." He went in and said, "Yes, there are a few chapatis." So Baba told us another wish of mine which he had fulfilled. I will again tell you of another wish. I went and the catering refused. I was rather upset and I was feeling very hungry too. And then the jeep came and we went to Meherazad. We sat near Baba. Baba looked at us and of course we had some worries and problems to unfold before him, and he heard us patiently, gave us certain instructions, and suddenly looked at myself and said, "Have you eaten anything?" I said, "No, Baba, I couldn't." He looked at me again and said, "Well." Then he turned towards Eraj and said, "Have you anything in the ashram?" Eraj said, "Well, I'll find out, Baba." He went in and said, "Yes, there are a few chapatis." So Baba told Eraj, "Bring those chapatis here and let Amiya and his mother take their meals before me." And of course, that was a wonderful opportunity, one of the most unforgettable occasions. Baba was sitting in front of us, and myself and my mother, we were taking chapatis before him. And Baba looked at us and said, "Go on eating at leisure, don't be in a hurry. And I'm very happy to see you both here. Just see how fortunate you are that you are taking your meals in my presence." And of course, that was another wish of mine which he had fulfilled. I will again tell you of another wish. I sometimes used to feel 18th October is my birth date. I sometimes used to feel that when my father was alive, I mean my father, Dr. Hazra, when he was alive, we used to have celebrations on my birth date and I used to get his blessings. But out of shyness, I never told Baba that 18th October was my birthday. But I somehow wanted that it should so happen that Baba of his own accord should give me blessings on that particular day. And you know, it so happened that I had sent a magazine to Meherazad in which there was an article by me. That article was read out to Baba. Baba liked it, and Bhau wrote me a letter. That letter was dated 18th October. And Bhau said, "Today, the brochure sent by you, in which your article has appeared, was shown to Baba, and the article was read out to him. He liked it immensely, and he talked of you, and he sends his love and blessings to you. Amiya, let me tell you that Baba was talking about you for such a long time that we take it as your day. It was your day." And thus, 18th October was definitely celebrated by my Divine Father in his own way to give me satisfaction that he knew that that was my birth date, and I was asking for it inwardly that he should in a way send me blessings on that date. Thanks. I frequently had been to Guru Prasad, where Baba used to give his darshan whenever he used to be at Pune. Many incidents come back rushing on my memory of those wonderful days. I remember one incident. Baba was sitting outside the hall on a sofa, just as if he was waiting for someone. It was the earlier hour of the morning, and I just got onto the veranda when I saw a group of villagers, very poorly clad people they were, singing Baba's name, enter the Guru Prasad gate. Now when they came near Baba, Baba rose, and Baba was looking so happy. I had rarely seen such a look of pleasure in his eyes as then, when that simple, humble, poor group came singing Baba's name. Baba looked at the group. I also noticed them. I, of course, in my own way couldn't find anything very special about them, but because Baba was so keenly interested in them, I too felt great interest. There was a young couple, and they had still been wearing marks of a recent marriage. Now, when Baba just embraced them all very fondly, Baba looked at me and told me, Amiya, these are the people, they are villagers, farmers, fishermen. These are the people who always loved me, flocked round me, were very close to me whenever I came as avatar on this earth. And see how much these people love me. This young couple has been recently married only a few days back, and they wanted to receive my blessings, and they have come straightway from their village home in Uttar Pradesh to Pune to meet me and take my blessings. And I don't think they have even had their honeymoon. I said, well, their honeymoon will be in paradise, just in your presence. Of course, they touched Baba's feet, and they too were overwhelmed by Baba's profound love for them. I still remember, as a contrast to this, a very wealthy person from Bombay. Coming from Bombay by car, he stopped at Ahmednagar, trust office, where I was sitting in front of Adi. I too was to go to Meherazad. This wealthy gentleman was a devout lover of Baba. He had recently returned from New York, where he had gone to attend the World Fair and meet his relatives there. This industrialist and mill owner of Bombay was going to Meherazad in order to request Baba to give his darshan relatives there. This industrialist and mill owner of Bombay was going to Meherazad in order to request Baba to give his darshan to the Easterners and Westerners in Bombay instead of in Pune or in Nagar. While Baba wished the darshan program to take place in Ahmednagar, or more particularly perhaps in Meherazad ashram itself, in the precincts, because Baba was physically not keeping very well. Now this wealthy gentleman entered Baba's presence along with me, and he told Baba that he would be arranging everything in Bombay for that darshan. He would see that all the Westerners, all Baba's Western disciples, were lodged in very comfortable apartments, that they had all the facilities and privileges that they were enjoying at home in the States, and that the Easterners also would not be put to any sort of inconvenience during their stay for Baba's darshan at Bombay. His only request was that Baba should not hold that function anywhere except in Bombay. Baba looked at him, turned his look towards me and said, Amiya, what do you think about it? Well, I had nothing to say. I waited for Baba to express his own opinion about it. Baba looked at me again and said, what do you think about the function here, right here where I am? I said, it's nice, because this is a beautiful natural spot, hills and fields and silence everywhere. Then Baba looked at that wealthy gentleman and said that Amiya is perfectly right. This is a natural surrounding. And so far as the Western lovers coming to me for their darshan, they are not coming for convenience or for comforts. There are plenty of these things in the States. They can have an air-conditioned apartment there. They can have luxury drives. But when they come to India, they come for me solely to get my love, to get my sevas, my physical contact, my blessings. So they will not mind staying here, right here in Ahmednagar, even if they have to put up with certain inconveniences in this locality. And the wealthy gentleman was a bit disappointed, but he understood the real meaning behind Baba's words, and he agreed to let Baba have his own way regarding holding the function. I like to tell you something interesting about this wealthy person. While he was in the States, he had got some sort of neuralgia pain in his neck. It was some nerve, of course, might have played the mischief, and he was not able to feel quite comfortable. And every time I found him just jerking up his head like this, I asked him once, what's wrong with you from that room of Meherazad? And we got into the car, Suddenly this wealthy gentleman shouted in joy and said, well, I don't know where's that pain gone. I think Baba's empress did it for me in his neck. It was some nerve, of course, might have played the mischief, and he was not able to feel quite comfortable. And every time I found him just jerking up his head like this, I asked him once, what's wrong with you, sir? He said, well, I got some sort of nerve pain in my neck, and somebody else tried to do some massage, and it has got worse for it. And I don't know when I will be able to get relief. Now, after making his request to Baba to get that function held in Bombay, he of course desisted and said, Baba, we leave it to you. It's your will now, the way you choose. We are happy in your will, fulfilling your wishes. When we came out from that room of Meherazad and we got into the car, suddenly this wealthy gentleman shouted in joy and said, well, I don't know where is that pain gone. I think Baba's empress did it for me. And he was very happy. I remember. And at that moment I couldn't help feeling one thing, that this gentleman who owns mills in Bombay, has billions of rupees, is still how furtive, how fretful, how much ill at ease he was just because one nerve in his neck wasn't all right. So, in a moment I felt that all this opulence, all this wealth is really nothing in comparison to the wealth of love that Baba gives us, which can really make us immensely rich, immeasurably rich for all times to come. In the earlier days, shall I continue? In the earlier days, when I had come in Baba's contact, I literally wanted to be one with him. And I don't know in what a state of that passionate love I was, that I used to embrace walls and trees, clutch at anything and just say, Baba, I want to find you here. I want to just dissolve in you. Well, this was going on till it was such a state of mind that I felt like jumping out of a railway carriage, because I was going to Bhopal, and away, it was evening, away in the fields, I felt as if Baba was standing there in his pink coat and white sadra, just calling me. I just almost was tempted to jump out of the railway carriage and put an end to my life. Suddenly I received a letter from Iraj, of course dictated by Baba, to me at Bhopal. Baba wants you to digest the rich food of love. Don't spill it by being emotionally carried away. And Baba is infinitely close to yourself. It is your imagination which makes you feel absent from him. Stop imagining. Stop the search which makes you feel absent from him. Stop imagining. Stop the search and find him as your own real self within you. Mind plays and plays havoc too. That point in space and time when imagination stops, God is realized. Baba wants you to stop searching him. You miss him because of your very search. Stop searching and find him as your own self within you. Baba sends his love to his dear Amiya Kuman. Even now, I have not been able to stop that search. I'm searching Baba in my relatives. I'm searching Baba in delicious food. I'm searching Baba in lilting music. I'm searching Baba, what I feel is Baba in so many things which I love. And still that search is going on. Imagination is still playing and perhaps playing havoc at times. I only wait for Baba's own divine time, Baba's own clock, Baba's own divine calendar to spell that moment of moments when my imagination will stop and I will find Baba as my own true self. Jai Baba. Jai Baba. Now I'm going to narrate a few more anecdotes, which, being of a common nature, I would like to entitle as Baba Cures Me. When I talk of Baba Cures Me, I only mean it in the physical sense, how Baba was instrumental in helping me to recover from certain diseases. The first one that I remember overtook me in 1961. I suddenly one day felt a strange sort of grip and pain in the nape of my neck. And I also felt as if I was sinking. I called for the doctor at Jabalpur. The doctor, being an allopath, came and he gave me a break. Later on, he treated me for about 10 days. I had lots of injections during that period, but the pain didn't go. And that strange sensation of as if someone very strong was gripping me from behind my neck. Well, this strange illness continued for not only days but for months. And for 6 long months. Still, I was absolutely scared of it. Meanwhile, I'd been writing letters to Baba, asking him to cure me. But every time I wrote a letter or sent a wire, the reply invariably was, be brave and be resigned to my will. Everything will be well. Love, Meher Baba. Absolutely scared of it. Meanwhile, I'd been writing letters to Baba, asking him to cure me. But every time I wrote a letter or sent a wire, the reply invariably was, be brave and be resigned to my will. Everything will be well. Love, Meher Baba. I could not understand how long Baba was going to test me like that. 6 months. Suppose for 6 months a strong person is holding you by the neck. Could you really tolerate it? Well, I thought I was almost at the end of my patience, and I decided to talk about it to Baba when next time I visited Guru Prasad. I went to Guru Prasad and Baba had immediately given an order, no one should ask me for anything. I knew that Baba had actually given this order in order to preclude any possibility of my asking him to cure me. But I was very adamant for once. I had decided that even if I had to incur Baba's annoyance, I would definitely speak about my ailment and try to seek some redress. Well, Baba divined and he just looked at me and said, well, Amiya, what is it that's troubling you? Let me know. I told Baba point blank, for last 6 months I've been suffering, and I being young, I would like to do much of work, to go out, and I don't like to be on bed like this at this stage of my life, and moreover, it's beyond me now to endure, and I want to be cured of it. Baba looked displeased. He looked at me and said, when I told that no one should ask for anything, why do you ask me to cure you? Well, anyway, he called Gohar, Dr. Gohar, said, examine his throat, what's wrong with it? Dr. Gohar came and said, he's suffering from tonsillitis. Baba said, you bring a bottle of medicine. And Gohar brought a bottle of medicine. Baba touched the bottle and passed it on to me, saying, there are 10 tablets. You take 1 tablet every night, but before taking the tablet, be sure you take my name 100 times. Then take a tablet with a cup of milk, and you will be cured of this disease. Then again he said, I don't know why when people say they love me, why they don't obey me and follow my instructions. They do not know that so many things have to be changed and adjusted once again. Well, I didn't pay any heed to what Baba was saying because I was simply interested in getting cured of that strange disease. I was quite selfish, I knew. I went home, where I was staying at Pune, and in the evening, Baba had just condescended to cure me for a while because he found that I was so restless about it. But then, according to his plan, he stuck to the design that he had already in his mind, and I had to go in for another period of ailment. Now I again wrote back to Baba. I said, I cannot understand when you are the avatar and you want me to work for you, why should I be every time suffering like this, and where is the respite? Baba wrote me a letter saying, you needn't worry, take all the treatment from good doctors and keep brave and keep resigned to my will. But that was, I think that was the last straw on the camel's back perhaps. And after say about 5 months of that sort of thing, I again wrote a letter. This time it was a poem. in which, of course, I called Baba Asutosh Baba, which means Baba who readily can be pleased. And in that rather pathetic poem, I requested Baba to take away my ailments. And then came the reply from Eras. Eras said, your Asutosh Baba had heard the appeal of your heart through your poem and was touched. And he says his dear Amiya, being so precious to him, should never worry about anything, and he will be all right. And if he doesn't become all right and doesn't come to me in bloom of health, Baba will punish him for it. And Baba says, you may go on taking all the medicines prescribed to you by doctors. At the same time, from Baba's side, you take a quarter cup of fresh cabbage juice daily. I was very happy. I just wanted something from Baba to come to me, because I had tested and tried all medicines by very good doctors of Jabalpur, and to no avail. When this was given to me, this opportunity of taking cabbage juice, I hunted the market up and down for cabbages, and they were not there because it wasn't the season for cabbages. So I wrote back again to say, Baba, I am not able to find cabbages. Again, Eras wrote that you needn't worry if you don't find cabbages. When you find them, you start doing this. You just take out a little juice, a quarter cup of juice, and start taking it. Luckily, after about a fortnight, there are some people who grow cabbages here. They were passing by, and I just espied some cabbages in the basket and called them, and thus my first cabbage juice, first cup of cabbage juice was there. I took Baba's name and took a quarter cup of cabbage juice, and once again I tell you, what streptomycin and sulfaguanidine and so many other medicines, all those drugs couldn't do, that one quarter cup of cabbage juice did, and I found myself quite all right from, I think, the next week. Again wrote Baba a letter. Baba wrote back, my love and blessings. And then Bhav also had written a letter to me in which it was indicated that all these sufferings, how fortunate you are, you don't know how. Bhav wrote me a letter saying, how fortunate you are, you don't really know how fortunate you are. Baba loves you so much. Baba often talks about you in the Mandali, inquires about your health, and you should only be a little brave, a little more resigned to his wishes. Everything is going to be absolutely all right for you, and these sufferings come in order to go. What remains is Baba. And therefore, you mustn't be very much attached to what you call good health and ill health. If you are attached to good health, it means you will also be very much conscious of ill health. So you try to forget both and be happily seated in Baba, established in Baba. Well, even then, it's not as easily done as said. And as I had earlier remarked, I had a pair of tonsils that had grown very bad, absolutely rotten, and the doctors had already said that they were absolutely ripe for operation, otherwise they would land me into real trouble sometime. Well, I didn't want to go for operation as I was nearing 31, and I was told by some medicos that an operation of tonsils at a later stage is not very advisable. When I went to Baba, Baba just called Gohar again, got my tonsils examined, and he told me that, well, it's absolutely necessary that you should get your tonsils removed. It's a very trifling operation and you should get it done. I came home, and as I told you that I was not at all inclined to go for that operation, I didn't go for it. I thought Baba would cure me in spite of everything, and notwithstanding any operations and all that. But somehow, I was quite all right, and I went back to Baba for another darshan at Guru Prasad, and every time when I used to go, Baba would very lovingly call me near him, give me an embrace, kisses and all that. This time he didn't. Rather, when I tried to reach him, he said, no, don't come near me, sit where you are sitting. And Baba said, if you try to come near me, I'll take a stick and break your head with it. Well, I was startled. Why Baba has registered certain attitude I couldn't understand. Then suddenly Baba looked at me and inwardly I understood that because I had not gone for that operation, the omniscient one knows that I haven't removed my tonsils. That's why he's so annoyed with me. Then Baba looked at me and said, for next 4 days you don't come to me. For next 4 days you don't come to me. Well, somehow I went home I was greatly dispirited when I went home, and I was trying to understand why Baba has banned my going to him for 4 days. Suddenly I got a brain wave. I just recollected that, but 4 days are exactly enough for an operation of this nature. So Baba has given me another opportunity to obey him. I took a taxi, went to a doctor, an ENT, and insisted on my tonsils being removed. He checked my blood and he told me that, well, your blood counts are not quite adequate. The blood is lacking in hemoglobin. The doctor told me that, well, I don't think you should go for an operation immediately. And he checked my blood and he found that the hemoglobin percentage was less than optimum. He told me to wait for a few days, take some iron injections and then go for the operation. I told him, well, I absolutely do not want to delay matters and I want to get operations done today. He said, why are you in such a hurry? I told him because my master, Meher Baba, is not happy that I had been avoiding operation for such a long time, and now this time when I have come to Pune, within these 4 days I must get the tonsils operated. He said, well, I am not the doctor then. You can go to some other doctor who is more courageous. Because I tell you one thing from medical point of view, if the hemoglobin percentage is less, as in your case, then it will take a long time to heal. And I wouldn't therefore advise an operation. I went away from him, that doctor, and went to another doctor. Praying inwardly to Baba, Baba, make this doctor operate and remove the tonsils. Make this doctor operate. When I went to him, he was a wonderful doctor of Pune. And when I told him, he also said the same thing. He said, why are you in such a hurry? I again explained the see, I must get this operation this evening. Then it leaves me 4 days. After 4 days, on the 5th day, I can go back to my master to tell him that I've got the operation done and also attend his darshan. Well, perhaps he admired my courage or whatever it was. He just said, well, I'm ready to operate it. He gave me a few pricks and, of course, applied local anesthetic. And I was made to sit on the table. My eyes were bandaged. He was talking literature with me. Meanwhile, I could really feel that his knife was in and there was a slight pricking sensation. The tonsils were removed by him. It was done almost in a jiffy. And there in Guru Prasad, Baba suddenly was asking Mandali people, where is Amiya? Why hasn't he come? Well, he had told me not to go there for 4 days, and now he was expressing anxiety. Why Amiya doesn't come? So some people ran to Khirki, and those people came to know from Khirki that I was hospitalized. I had undergone an operation of tonsils, and I was there convalescing. Well, they came to know where I was, and at that time I was in a lot of pain, because the effect of the anesthetic had gone. And I was just thinking of Baba, and thought that Baba, I had obeyed you. Now, like a good son, I have returned to your lap. Why don't you send me a word of love? And suddenly those people came, to the hospital and said, Baba was thinking of you and talking about you, telling where Amiya is. I was so happy, in the midst of all that pain. That was a great joy. And on the 5th day, I went to Baba. Baba looked at me, smiled and did like this. That is, have you removed the tonsils? I said, yes, Baba. That's fine. He said, that's fine. Like a brave boy. And that was perhaps the day when I got the first opportunity of standing behind him when some photographer was photographing Baba. And well, I got that reward that I was photographed with Baba. Now, I would like to complete this series of anecdotes with one which took place after Baba dropped his physical body in 1969. It was a year or two later on that at Hamirpur, lovers of Baba were going to organize a big fair. Many of these lovers of Baba at Jabalpur asked me to participate in that fair, but for certain reasons I wasn't exactly prepared to go to Hamirpur at that time.
So I politely told them it wasn't possible. But somehow I was rather surprised, and not very agreeably, to see the amount of insistence that they had with them, and I started getting a little more rigid. Every time a Baba lover came to me, invariably he winded up his discussion with me by saying, "Well, I think you're going to Hamirpur, aren't you?" I said, "No, I'm not going." He said, "Why don't you go?" I said, "Well, because I'm not exactly prepared. There are reasons." He said, "But I think they aren't very material reasons. You can definitely go." I said, "Well, leave it to me to choose." And thus I was telling one after another many Baba lovers till I almost got allergic to this thing. Day after day, lovers of Baba came to me, and everybody, almost everybody was saying the same thing: "Why don't you go to Hamirpur?" I didn't understand whether I am getting mad or they are getting mad, because I didn't understand why they wouldn't take no for an answer. Somehow, after about 2 weeks, and there were hardly a few days left for the trip to Hamirpur, I was quite satisfied that I had done up with these requests, and I'm quite sure that now there is nobody left whom I have to say no. Well, and really nobody came to my home to ask me to go to Hamirpur. Just the day when Baba group from Jabalpur was leaving for Hamirpur, I think there were only a few hours left, Jogdan family who were living with me in my own place, the elder lady, Mrs. Jogdan, mother of Mr. Jogdan, who was a good friend, a good Baba lover, she comes to me and just looks at me and says, "Why do you not go? Amiya, why don't you go to Hamirpur?" Well, it was almost like the last straw on the camel's back. I told her very politely that I have said that I am not in a position to go to Hamirpur, and I thought that was the end of it. And now all of a sudden you come and again you are saying the same thing. I do not know what to do. She said, "The best thing for you then is to go to Hamirpur." I said, "Well, I will definitely go mad if anybody else now insists." She said, "Well, let me say one thing to you. It's not I who is telling you to go to Hamirpur. It's Baba who is asking you to go to Hamirpur. Baba is calling you to Hamirpur, and I'm quite sure that you will feel it there." I got very annoyed.